unmute him.
Yep.
How are you?
Good, good.
Are you in a home office there?
I set up something. I broke into my office to get some quiet from the kids.
No.
Awesome.
Well, now everybody can see.
That's fine.
Yeah, we don't care.
I'm gonna expand.
All right.
Great.
So, Julie, you want to open up?
Yeah. Hi. So Zohar, thank you. I'm just sorry. I moved where I was. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. We are, Mary Beth and I are excited to have you on. We know that, first of all, you're the #1 agent in the entire New Jersey MLS. So congratulations on that year after year. So that's really amazing.
Thank you very much.
And we'd love to just pick your brain a little bit. We've got some questions on how you're doing, how you're leading your team differently. And we've got attendees. If you're in attendee mode and you have questions as we go along, just please feel free to write them in the chat, and we'll make sure that we try to get to them before the end of our call. So
That's
again,
right.
Thank you for joining us. Mary Beth, you want to just jump into it?
Yeah. So I guess we should just start out by who you are, how long you've been in the business. I know you have a family, so if you want to talk a little bit about that, because that's been a factor throughout the last couple of weeks. But who you are, what you do, where you primarily do your business.
Okay, so again, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to share my ideas, and we're all into it together. I found that Zoom become our best practice right now, so we're getting used to that. So family, 3 kids, not easy now, at home. My wife took the role of being a principal and educator.
Not even a teacher, straight to the principal.
No, she's executive, so she went up to straight up, 9, 11, and 13, so different ages. So we have a full house at home. This is about my family, so we're all in the same boat and with the kids. Hopefully we're going to finish with it soon. In terms of my production and my team, so I'm based in Keller Williams in Tenafly. I open a mega agent office in Fairlawn, where I live, to support my team structure, because we have a big support here, so we can have a hub, but be part of the Tenafly office. I have a team of 2 admins, marketing and listing, with director of operation, and we have about 8 to 9 full-time agents. Obviously, in February, we just came back from family reunion. We were like on a wave to go up and grow the business and to continue from last year, and this came. So we're now in the phase of restructuring and understanding exactly how we're going to work and how we're going to overcome that. So I think
that's great.
About that.
You said it's all for the family. Tell us a little bit about that. I know family is important to you, right?
I think, everybody, you ask them about this big why. I think the family for me is the big why, especially as a new immigrant here that come to the country and trying to be the best that he can in order to provide for my kids and my next generation the best that I can afford. I'm kind of like me and my wife, we're taking the heat of being the stranger that came here with nothing and to provide our kids a better future. And I think that's a huge motivation for us, and also to try to help and support our families if it's here and abroad that we kind of like left behind, and we feel a little bit guilty about it.
It's okay. A couple of dollars will just kind of smooth that right over.
Yep.
So go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, so would you share with us how your business evolved? We've all, I'm sure, had obstacles. I would love to hear how you've overcome those obstacles, how you have failed your way forward, and all the things that you've gone through to achieve this level of success that you're having.
So I started in 2010. So if you remember 2008-9, we had the crash. So I started 2010. We were like in the bottom. So in a sense, I know what a bottom market is and I know what a crash is, so we can relate for this for 10 years ago. And this is where I started. So there's a lot of similarities of what we need to do now, and it doesn't change with all the technology and everything. It doesn't change for what I did 10 years ago in order to get to the same point. So I started 2010. I think my best practice was, I'm going to say it right away, but my biggest obstacle was that new immigrant, no sphere of influence, starting from scratch with no somebody to fall back, friends and people from college, and somebody that I can rely on when I started the business. So it was blank, cold calling, all the fundamental things that people don't like to do, and I forced to do. And now we're going back to that. So I started 2010 with a lot of cold callings. It was a time of a lot of expireds for sell by owners after the 2008-9 crash, door knocking, the whole good stuff that most agents don't like to do. And
Great habits.
this is how I established my grit, in terms of the stamina, working hard, not let go, and climbing a little bit by a little bit. And it took me like I would say 2-3 years to establish some kind of a connection with some kind of a business that I created, and with my go-getter approach, with a non-stop mentality, 7 days a week and everything. I was able to establish some kind of a base clients. Yep. And then based on, client referral, it started to grow up from there. I think by 2014, I joined Keller Williams. I was already like, I would say top producer. I was about $28 million in sales. So I was pretty established, but obviously, we came to Keller Williams to go to the next level. I didn't want to stop by that. And in 2014, since then, every year we increased the production, and with building up the team and everything, I know Meredith for a while, and she know me from back when she was in Hoboken, and we did some deals together and everything. So the thing is that the market since then was improving, so that helped. But one thing I never forgot is that you have to go back to the fundamentals. And that's something that we have to say to everybody right now. Some people that just started in the last year, 2, 3, 4, when it was easy, everything is going, they might don't have those habits, and now it's a necessity. You cannot rely on other stuff that you thought that is easy to go, right? You have to work very hard now to get there.
Mary Beth, before you move on to our next question, I just want to point out, in 2014, you did 28 million. This year you closed at well over 100 million. I mean, you tripled your business in about 5 years. That is, I have the chills. That's really amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a group effort. It's a family effort. I think nobody can achieve it by himself, and that's, I think, part of the Keller Williams way is that when I was, my previous broker was that it's all about single agent, the brand, more, the traditional way of doing things. And I felt when I started to realize about Keller Williams is that you have to succeed through others. Think about the business as you're an entrepreneur, like you have to think about it as a business in order to take it to the next level. And also you have to surround yourself and be able to talk to people that are on the highest level than you. When you are 30, 40 million producer in Bergen County, you kind of like, you are at the top. There's no way you can look from somebody and learn. And I felt like, oh, wow, there's people who make 200 million and 300 million. And those people make $1 billion in sales. So I wanted to be associated with a company that can help me to grow that. And with the group structure, it helped me to evolve as a leader. And that's something that you asked me how it become available, is that when you succeed through others and you empower people and you help them to grow with you, and that's how you see that the rates are going up from year to year. Let's put aside this year, we'll talk about it soon, but yeah, we grew up the business in every year since then. And now we're in a good position to be able to overcome this challenge that we have right now. So, but I think most of it is to the leadership that grew up through the Keller Williams and me personally as a person, and with picking up good people to be in your group and your team.
So tell us a little bit about that. It's kind of off script, but I wholeheartedly believe that it's through people that you're going to succeed at a high level. You can't do it alone. You can only reach a certain amount. But it sounds like when you came to KW, and I remember you really wanted to go to model, and you started to put the model into place, the leverage model, and how to bring in, who to bring in, when to bring them in. What has been your outlet to find talent? Are you always searching for talent? What kind of strategy do you use to select your talent?
So, talking about challenges and overcoming challenges, failing forward. When I came, in production level for 30 million, you have a bag of business and you're doing your own thing and everything, and then you have to change everything to fit to the model. I was trying to copy paste my business and keep doing it the way I'm doing it and implement it into the model, and it didn't work out in the beginning. So I was in the first year. If you look in the first year in 2014 to the year that I moved, I don't think I grew up in business a lot. I was able to maintain about the same because it took me a lot to say, okay, this is a different structure. You have to organize yourself differently, because if I'm doing the same thing, I'm going to hit the ceiling that I hit before that. So if you look at 2014, 15, by the time I understanding that I have to follow the real estate millionaire book, do the stuff that Keller Williams wants you to do, like recruit, select, this, all those things that I said, you know what, I'll implement it later, let me run my business. And that's what got me to that point. And in order to get to the other point, I have to do that. I put it aside and kind of like put me on hold. It took me about 1.5 to 2 years to understand that working outside of the business and working towards the business with the models will get me to the next level. And that's what happened in 2016, 17, when I implemented more and more stuff with the Keller Williams model. This is where I jumped to the 50, 60, 70, in 2018 wow. To the 80 million. That was the big jump of implementing the models of the Keller Williams. So it works. But
so what I'm hearing,
you have to let go.
So what I'm hearing is that once you implemented the models, you were able to double your business over the course of a couple of years.
Yep.
So you went from like 28 to 40, 50 million. And also what I'm hearing is, and this is for any stage, as you're trying to break through to the next level, you have to slow down a little bit. You have to put that think time aside for yourself, that reading time. I'm sure Zohar could speak to all the conferences and groups that he could be involved with at a high level, that in order to put yourself in that network of people, in order to become that person the B do have, it doesn't just happen overnight. There is a process. And that's why a lot of agents do maintain and flatline from when they leave or when they begin to put models into their business. It's just, there's going to be some adjustment, and that's going to take away from productivity, hopefully to take 2 steps backwards to then take 10 steps forward.
I would say something about that. I was always concerned when I have like 2 or 3 or 4 months that I was feeling that I'm going backwards. It always paid off, and then it was bounced back and it was stronger. So talking about this challenge right now, this is a different challenge, but I will take it as an advantage of going backwards, maybe to going even stronger later on. And maybe we can talk about it a little bit more, how we're going to do that. But I think we have to take it to that extent of, okay, we've been stopped. This is an event that's driven other stuff to happen, but let's take it to move to the next step from that. So on every level, from individual to a group level.
Yeah.
And on that note, why don't we talk about what is going on, right? What strategies have you used or are you implementing to get your team through what we're dealing with right now? And what have you changed in your business?
So, we just came back from Texas in February 16, 18. I don't think the talk and the environment was that it's going to be something like that. we were a little bit concerned. We were talking about it happening, and everything was right. We did all the plans for 2020. I just moved to a bigger office. I had more people. Everything was planned out to be different. And then we came back 2 weeks later, and now we have a closed office for almost 3 weeks with the unforeseen going back. And so to plan that, I didn't plan that, but I realized really quickly that after a week or two, when it started to hit New York and I saw what's about to come, and we started to realize here in the office that things will change. And I believe just before we closed the office, I was sitting I couldn't sleep at night. My head always working at night. And I'm like, okay, guys, this is going to be something big. And I spoke about it in a few team meetings after we came back from a family reunion, because remember, until mid-March, we had open houses with 80 to 100 people,
Yep.
with 10, 15, 20 multiple offers situation just before they shut us down. Like it was insane. And then it went from 100 to a 0. So it took like a few days to understand, okay, something big is happening. I regrouped. I was sitting at night with notes, like in my bed, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up in the morning, talked to my director of operation. I'm like, okay, put it into writing. And I created like, okay, this is like the Zamir Group, 10 things that we have to do right now, affecting immediately in order to weather the storm. And I read it to everybody. We did a Zoom call. And since then, it's like our motto of how we're going to do that. You know, I printed out here. You have it like, these are like our
Share it, please share.
Yeah, I'll share it. Like, listen, in the end of the day, I wrote it down like 3 weeks ago. It's like the 10-step system of how we're going to dominate the market and serve our communities in the next 6 months. I thought it's going to be like a 6-month period of how the market would recover and how we're going to go back in track.
Sure.
And for me, it was the first thing was to protect our mindset, because, you know, we've been sharing about here, more death, more this, more that, all gloom, and
Yeah.
it's always devastating to read that, and it takes you, you know, you feel bad about it. So right now, fear is the enemy of, you know, our buyers, our sellers, or us as agents and everything. So I wanted to be focusing on the good things, and I wanted it to be from my group and for myself. You know, sometimes you're asking your group and you're writing on something that it's also reflecting on yourself. So putting it in writing and then demonstrating it to the others, you're kind of like forcing yourself to say, you know what, this should be my mentoring. This should be my reflection and my affirmation. You know, if you take it to the bold laws and everything, you have to repeat it for yourself in order to make it happen.
That's the best thing about being a leader or a coach, is that you keep sharpening your axe every time you're coaching somebody through something. You always can find a little bit of DNA on that coaching moment for yourself.
Exactly. And again, I found myself more of a mentor, not a coach. So I feel that, you know, it's very easy for me to talk about things, but I also have to live by example. That's something that was that. The second thing was to take care of your mental and physical health, because I felt that, you know, with everything, with the school add-on and the kids and the stress, and each one of my agents have his own struggles with his parents and his work and his wife and the kids. We have to keep it in composure. I took it to the extreme. I have a nice beard right now. I'm top of that. It disguised the amount of fat that I added to my face. So
yeah, from all the snacks, because you're eating snacks.
And so that was the second thing. The third thing was that we were relying heavily, you know, just before that everybody was specializing in the group of something, like, you know, buyer specialists, listing specialists, showing specialists and stuff like that. I realized that, okay, this time of there's no like, okay, I'm going to do lead generation, I'm going to do this. No. All decks, you know, everything is shuffled right now. Everybody have to dig in. And I told everybody from right now, okay, good luck, guys. Welcome to the ISA department. Everybody right now is an inside sales associate. This is the new department. You all in. Good luck. That's it. You know, like, There's no like.
You're all hired. You're hired.
Hired. Like I wrote down for them, like, welcome to the IC department. We just started. You all welcome. Back to you guys. You know, like, and on top of it, number 4 was like, okay, no one says from now on, that's not my job. It's not in my territory or whatever. Everybody helping everything, anything. We're all together for that. And, you know, for example, I have people in my team with health issues before that, and I don't want them to go out. We have people with problems, people living a little bit far away. We need help with this, with that. No more jurisdiction. Everybody do it all. Mm-hmm. So that's like the group mentality, and that will create a nice culture when we go out of it, that everybody is more working us together. Yeah. And this is where we go back to the basics. So again, we can go back to 2008, 92, 87, you can go up to the Great Depression. At the end of the day, everybody have to go to the basics. And I told to everybody, right now, the database and the community is the focus. When everything is going well and you have 30, 40, 50, or even 5 transactions going on and you do open houses, the leads coming in, everything is fine. When you're not in a position to do showing and you cannot do open houses, so agents that don't do lead generator, don't work on their database, right now feeling that the pipeline is dried up. I've been talking about it for years, about the importance of the database, and we can see it year over year with all the technologies inside and all the gadgets and everything. Database still become the living, breathing of your business. So now, instead of everybody said, I'm going to do it later, now it's become a necessity, and you have all the time in the world to work on your database. So that's become right now the #1 thing that every agent on every level should work on, the database.
So, Mary
Beth, I want to keep you there. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What we got?
Good.
I'm writing them.
You're writing them? Okay, good. No, I haven't finished, but yeah, let's talk. Yes, Julie.
I just wanted to, we have a question, and it's evolving from what you're saying. What do your days look like during this time, and what are you expecting from your agents and their days to look like while you're hitting the database and working the community?
So right now, our day is I'm going to talk about the group and my day right now. So my day right now is I'm on Zoom, masterminding, talking to people around the country, getting updates about the market, getting ideas, and see, you know, what we think was going to be next and stuff like that. That's on a high level. Also, I'm on a daily basis attacking my phone and my contacts, having personal conversation with people that on a day-to-day time, I don't have time to talk. Now all the time you have, and you're having a deep conversation with clients, with relatives, with everybody, and just, you know, stay in touch, see how they save, healthy, and not related to real estate, but having the time to really contribute and see that they're okay. And it's a good time for you to work on your phone and database and, you know, scrap everything out and prepare it. On day-to-day, you don't have time for that, especially if you're on a busy day-to-day. So I'm attacking that on a daily basis. My main goal right now on the team level is to say, okay, our pipeline right now is dried up. My main goal and the team is to keep the one that we have right now still in contract and to get them to close. So, you know, we had a certain amount of deals. Some of them were unfortunately lost because of, you know, unemployment, uncertainty, and stuff like that. But my main goal right now is to get whatever we can to close, so my agent can get paid right now, so we can get some cash flow, so we can, you know, start moving forward on that one. So a lot of that is managing right now the one that already under contract. So that's on that. And for me, also,
what percentage of your business that was under contract have you seen fall apart so far?
I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but I would say that, you know, my price point in Bergen County and in that area, I'm in the middle class price point. You know, most of my deals are 300 to 700,000, and I think right now in this moment, even though it's a hot market that was before, this market affected more strongly with unemployment on the short term. So we saw we had about 13 or 14 deals that fall through. One just came like 5 minutes ago before we just came on the Zoom. One of the guys that put in an offer that was accepted right now in Paramus, he just got a corona and he put everything on hold. So he got positive and everything. So this is the day-to-day struggling that we're having. We have people that had accepted offer and lost their job, or the wife got unemployment. So we're managing that as much as we can. I have to keep my agent chin up because they were banking on those transactions. Then we're trying to see, okay, something that I want to give everybody as also as a tip is that if you had a transaction that you had multiple offers or stuff like that, reach out to the people that were showing the property 2, 3, 4 weeks ago and see if they're still floating, because there's still buy out there. And a lot of the people right now will not put their house on the market or withdraw it or whatever. And you might have people that already seen the house or been in the process of putting an offer and they were outbid before, and you can put it back into the table easily without showing the house again because they were already on the process. So that's
so if they're working on the things that are in the pipeline. You said, what's the other part of their day look like? What other kind of prospecting do you expect from them? Is it contacts? Is it
right now, I took the advantage of the time that we have in hand right now to tidy up the accountability in the group. Okay, when everybody is busy on the day-to-day and we wanted to do the 20 contacts and report and how many appointments you made and stuff like that, it always dissolves in the excuse of I'm busy, I'm in inspection, I'm in appraisal. Right now, it's a good time to wrap up with the leadership of the company, with my inside admins and with me to create a stronger accountability. And I think that will make my team stronger, because right now we are reinforcing the habits. We're creating a strong accountability. The agents right now, by force, understand how important it is, because before that, I can say that in every week, how important it is to contact the people, update the database, contact and make updates. But now they understand if they're not doing that, when we go back to work, they're going to be irrelevant for the people that they didn't been in touch with. So it's a matter of staying relevant in those times. So the accountability right now is a big factor that I'm working in the group.
awesome?
Great. So how do you think that your agents will evolve from this and come back stronger? Is it the accountability that you're putting on them to make the connections? Is it the staying with, keeping the deals together? What do you think that will be your agents, how they'll evolve through
I think it's a good question. I think good things will happen from that. One of my 10 points was that training based on location. We are double down right now in training. I found that even in a group, you have a different level of experience and level of knowledge between the agents. So right now, when we have a lot of time in our hand, it's time to wrap up the training for everybody. And I think something very good that I want to say about our Keller Williams is, with all the training we're providing, the Zoom, the meeting, the masterminding and everything, it helps me right now to get the level that I want for my agents and raise them up to the bar. That's a huge advantage. Coming back from that, I think the level of experience and knowledge for my agents will be much higher than running around and trying to fit them into the training throughout the month or the week with the training of the market center. Right now, when I can blog them with accountability, they have to report what classes they do. They're very focus-minded about how they get their business getting together, and they're getting experience and more knowledgeable about that. So training is one thing. Second thing, I think having more purposeful and deep conversation with clients and prospective made them a better agents in order to pre-qualify people, asking the right question, working on the scripts. They're making much more conversations right now that will help them later on. And I told them also that They have to be prepared, that's number 7, to win and convert on every appointment. I feel that after that, we're gonna have less opportunities to convert. So the more you more practice on scripts and you more deep into the conversation, understanding the wants and the needs, you have a better chance to convert. So by doing that now, practicing on your database, calling your past clients, hearing and understanding what people wants to talk, and it will make them a better listeners, a better conversions later on when we talk with prospective buyers and prospective sellers later on. So that's another point that I wanted to highlight for them. And they already see the difference in conversation. I'm getting a lot of good feedback with like what's good happened today. You know, like we had a great conversation about that. I was able to convert with this. This is somebody that I was not able to talk before, and I was more open to talk about this and that. And I see more and more positive attitudes for the agents right now getting best result. You know, when you're calling people and you don't catch them or they hang up on you, now the response rate is much higher. People at home, people with the kids, people answering the phone. So just pick up the phone and make the meaningful conversation, and you will do better and you'll get confidence by that.
You know, to the point that you're bringing, I've been doing a daily shift call. One of the topics I've been talking about with Matt Billheimer is that it's a time where like leads have been a little bit easier than in our past to get leads. We can go ahead and put some ads through commands. We could do Facebook posts. We could, you know, like you said, you could go to an open house and have 80 people show up, right? So as far as the business that I learned in 2004, 2005, it was a little bit different. But what agents have learned in the temperature of the market right now, it's been pretty easy to create leads. Where I find agents are disconnecting is that they're not connecting, they're not cultivating, they're not engaging in everything you just spoke about. And I think that hands down, this is a time for people to practice script and role play, re-watch some of the videos, listen, get in that mirror, do your affirmations, really hear what your tonality is, your word choice. And we're influencers, and your money, your income is absolutely connected to how influential you can be with that buyer or seller. And I was listening to Gary say, nobody ever called him to say, you made me do something I didn't want to do. You know, they're raising their hand, and then our agents are complaining because they didn't get them to the finish line, but it's just they weren't listening, and if anything changed, maybe they didn't pivot when they needed to. So to your point is, I think that's great that it sounds like you're not so much on them creating cold and new business, but just cultivating database and pipeline and sharpening their axe so that they can close immediately when this thing opens up.
One thing that I took, I felt like this is my decision as the business owner of the group, is that I took 3 steps back in terms of promoting our listings and showing how great we are and everything. If you go right now on my social media and everything, it's barely not exist anymore, because I don't think it's the best time to do that. And I also instructed my agent is you're not talking about real estate. And you find it very awkward, and I find it very flattering, is that I'm calling my past client, ask them about me and about them, and they're concerned about me. And they're like, how are we going to be, when the market's going to go back? I hope your office is going to open soon. I hope you're going to be fine. Don't worry.
That's great.
I'm getting a lot of, thumbs up, stay strong and everything. Like, I'm calling to give feedbacks and to help the people to stay afloat, and they're giving me the support that I want. And that's something that is very important, because if you're coming from contribution and you're not talking about the real estate as the main focus of the conversations, you're getting back the support that you want. And for me, that was something that going back into the database and not trying to get a new business and cold calling and expires and everything, where like, I got a guy call me like, this is the best time to call expires and everything. I said, I don't think in the long term, this is the best time to call expired. Everybody has his own problems right now. I think it's too tacky. And again, everybody has his own view of the market, but this is what I feel that we should step back from that and coming from from another perspective about real estate.
Mary Beth,
So,
if we can just
yeah.
before we had a question on lead generation, and I know
Sure.
we have a couple other questions that we'll get to after,
Let's go
but
over that.
since this is on lead generation, if we could just expand on it.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you cut every source of lead generation out other than contacting with care calls, your sphere, and your database. Is that correct?
I will say again, I go back to my 10 commandments.
Yes.
Number 6 was get brutal about expenses as a company on a personal level. We had a very strong discussion about how each one of my agents, including me and my wife, going through our credit cards, our expenses, and starting with small deletions of everything that is not necessary right now. It can be your car wash and your, you're cutting the loan because you're home right now. The water dispenser in the house, and the printers in the office. It started with small and then it goes even to further and further. So on the personal level, I wanted everybody to be committed to that and lower their expenses. I cut a lot of the expenses on the marketing side, if it's postcards, advertising on the newspapers. We cut a lot of, the realtor.com and all that. Zillow, we dropped almost to zero.
Nice.
What?
Nice.
Nice. Listen, it's a Zillow. It's an evil, but it's still like it's an evil. It's a game catch-22.
Yep.
We feel we cannot do without him, and we feel like if we're not there, we are like outside of the game. I think that a lot of people will realize that if they have a strong database and good connection with their database, they will not need Zillow as much as they needed before. And I think Zillow realized that because right now they're offering some discounts to agents. They're trying to be extra nice because they see right now that the agent, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, they don't need to buy their leads. And one thing that I want to tell the agencies is right now that if you do the things right and you build up your business the way it is, my referrals on repeat business and past clients raised from like, say, 5-10% 6 years ago. Right now, 40% of my business is referral and from past clients and repeat business. If I continue to do that, I can shift my business to be 60 to 70% from repeat and past clients. I don't need all that lead generation.
You could bring your profit margin up.
Absolutely. And overall, we also need to lead by margins and lead by gains as agents. A lot of the agents, a lot of the teams that we're seeing, and this is something that Gary Keller always talking about, is that they're big in volume, big in gross commissions, but when you look at the numbers, the profit share, the profit in the end, the bottom line is not there, right. And it's very thin. And he made it clear last year already that people that will come on the podium or go to family reunion or talking, he wants to look at the spreadsheets and the P&L. And I was surprised to know that top agents around the country having big groups with no profits. Yep. So you can be a successful single agent that make more than a group leader if you do the right things.
Without
okay, so think about that on expenses when you do lead generation also. I cut off the lead generation mostly on the database. I have a little bit of a Zillow and a little bit on the local community news, but that's about that. Really slim.
Thank you.
What do you have for 7?
Yeah, what was number 7?
7 was the convert in every win. Less leads, more conversion. And that was that. And we spoke about number 8 was the training, double down on training. Number 9 and 10 was 2 things. 9, that's something that we have to think about. The next step is the virtual conversation, Zoom calls, buyer consultations on online with buyers and sellers. And this is something that we started to realize that it needs to be done, and it's probably going to stay for the next few weeks or months. So that's something that we're working on that.
Zohar, I mean, that's not really a bad fruit that comes from this, though. I mean, if we could cut out the driving to a seller's house and make it super convenient for a seller and a buyer, a seller husband and wife sit in front of their computer at 7 o'clock at night and present in the same time that we would at the table. And then it's not a bad habit to create and keep. And to double down on training, just maybe even training over a Zoom presentation should be role play over Zoom.
I'm looking at the questions that coming in. It was like, do you plan on letting agents go if they are not meeting your standards? Okay, I want to answer that. And then, first of all, about the virtual, I think it's fine right now that a lot of people understand that virtual is maybe the new habit. And even like different generation understanding that that's a good thing to have. So if you're sometimes having with no tech persons right now everybody's on board. I just had a Zoom talking to a 75 years old lady that I don't think she had an email before, but now she did a Zoom with me. So
Right.
that's a good thing. And you know, you have the Hangout, WhatsApp, there's all kind of stuff that you can do right now, but it's very nice. And I think that social distancing right now will be a term that will stay a long period of time that we'll have to practice. About the question about
what about your creative way of showing houses?
Creative ways. So first of all, we withdraw most of our listings right now.
Okay.
The only one I have right now is 2 or 3 rentals that are like vacant, even though the governor now changed the policy with a one-on-one. If one of my agents don't feel comfortable on showing, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I had an offer that right now accepted, and the guy just got a corona. The owner signed a waiver of showing, but still, the guy I cannot control what I cannot control. And if people don't feel comfortable doing something, that's fine. And hopefully it's going to fade away once, you know, we be out of sight of the curve. But right now we're going to start working on, mostly on the vacant homes. We're going to start doing virtual, and we just discussed this in the last few days. Agents going, showing it with detail. That will give them a lot of opportunity to go live on Facebook, Instagram, social media recognition for them. And I want them to be out there, and that will help them to you know, showcase themselves. So that's about that. If I think it's going to sell homes, no. I think it's a good way to retain buyers, to make the seller feel comfortable that we're doing as much as we can,
right,
with these struggling times. And it will maybe solve people that want to look at 100 houses, maybe after looking at 10 of the virtual homes, they might look for less homes later on. But if I was a buyer right now to buy unseen with a virtual, I don't know. I like to touch. I like to see things. You know, maybe my wife and some of my friends will debate about that, because people buying clothes online and they measure them, but you cannot measure a house and then go back and say, you know, I don't want it. But
so
I think
to that point, what do you see as the market of the moment when this all opens up? And I do want to make a point that Zohar is in the most affected county in New Jersey, for those that are watching and are not from our area. So you have really tight restrictions on what your agents can and cannot do right now, more so than any other part of the state. So my question is really more out of this, with interest rates, with the country, with the economic temperature. What do you, I mean, you know, you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think might be the biggest opportunity? What market? Who is the buyer? Who is the seller?
Okay, let me, first of all, disclaimer. I'm not an economist, you know, like, so, and I'm not used to be a very good optimistic, but being realistic, I think that few things I think will happen in our immediate area here. I think that the magnitude of this event might help the suburbs and our communities, because I think we're going to have a lot of people from urban communities understanding that a home with a yard with more of a space and privacy is a better solution than to be in an elevator with 10,000 people in a building with a proximity to New York. So that's my one prediction. So I think overall, our suburbs, commuting areas that closer to New York will advantage from that in the short term. and maybe in the long term. So that's one positive way, I think. I think in the short term also, we're going to get a lot of people that the rental market will go up. I think we're going to have a surge of that. Once it's clear a little bit in June, July, I think a lot of people, especially people from urban environment and everything, will say, okay, maybe I'm not ready to buy right now, but let's try for a few months. Let's try for a year in the suburb. I think we're going to have a raise of the rents. And unfortunately, if it's going to continue a little bit more than what I think it will, like 30 days to 60 days, we're going to have some foreclosure, people with problems with payments and unemployment.
Perfect.
So that will create less people that can afford to buy on the lower to the mid-level and more of the rentals. So I see a surge of that. Now, if you look what happened before that started, we were in a very low inventory throughout the state, okay? And especially, I'd say, Bergen County, some of the parts in Passaic and Essex County, we were like 2 to 3 months of supply, which is a strong seller's market. I believe that we're gonna get a lot of people that's staying right now on the fence, and a lot of them will want to rush. And if it's people that are downsizing, people, you know, older people that are moving to different communities, relocating outside of the state from tax purposes, divorce. Hopefully it's not gonna raise a lot because of staying home.
I heard it just went up.
You know, I don't know, maybe there's like the divorce story have a barometer of the corona and the reflection of
and then baby is coming after it too.
The peak, yes. So I think that we're gonna have a surge of inventory coming in. I can say in very certainty that there's still a demand. There's a lot of buyers out there. And I think that after all said and done, hopefully in a month, 2, 3, we're gonna be a lot of inventory coming in, buyers attacking right away, as long as the rates are staying like that. And we're gonna go back to levels of inventory that will be still in a balance to a seller's market. That's my prediction. So I think if we can overcome that in the next few months, we're still gonna have a healthy market. Now, how the whole global in time US will handle with the unemployment that we've been hitting, that's something that I don't know exactly how it's gonna happen. But obviously I can tell you that the luxury is right now hit very badly because those people lost their investments and 401ks. And the lower end right now is hitting by unemployment, and hopefully they're going to go back to their works. So it's going to be challenging times. Yeah, absolutely.
What's number 10?
Number 10, lean into the group. Don't try to be a hero. Lean on the group. Everything is on the group. Encourage the group. Lean by the group. Get a help by the group. We are together for it to stronger than ever. By the way, this is something that I put on my office. I don't know if you see that. That was on March 17 when I closed the office. We will overcome and get stronger. I didn't realize it's going to be like that for a long time, but this is the motto right now. We will overcome and we'll get stronger than that. So,
well, it sounds like I think that your people are blessed to be under a leadership like yours and your wife, and to have the heart that you have for your people, and then to really be realistic and yet action oriented. I love that you're really taking the lead. So your people should really feel honored to be part of.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And one thing that we did in the last few days is also on the individual level, you know, how we get them an extra passive income that they can work in. See the opportunity for them to file for unemployment for now, you know, with the new legislations, working on their the PPP and the CBA as independent contractors look into and try to get with the stimulus package and stuff like that, and to make sure you know,
the
we
money's
have to
not
make
gonna
sure
last.
that they,
it's not going to last forever. So, you know, if you need to reach out to Julia or I, get the PPP app, I have it. I could send it to you, but you should be talking to your accountant about what your best plan of action is there.
Yeah.
So, Julie, you want to close it out?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you. It is so obvious that you care about your people, like Mary Beth said, and we appreciate you so much for taking the time to spend and visit with us today and share your knowledge and your 10 points that that I think everybody should take back and see what they can do to implement them. And anybody who has referrals for Tenafly Fair Lawn area, Zohar's your guy. And I just thank you so much for being on with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me, guys.
Is there anything that we missed?
I don't know if somebody want to ask the question.
Are there any questions, guys? Any questions that didn't get answered?
I saw a question about how to tour homes. One thing that I haven't talked, and we just discussed this with the group, with one of my agents, and we saw, because people are home right now, you can have like a Facebook or whatever, invite people when everybody's home and do like a watch party. You know, like you coming, you're touring the video of the home, and you do like a watch party, and then you have a nice participation by that without showing it to actual people. And then they can, you know, invite their friends and family.
Great.
And one more thing, what your day's time and time block looks like during this time. I'm trying to help us home. I don't know if somebody follow me on Facebook. My wife sent me to groceries in the last few days. I was not so successful by that. But most of the time, I time blocking between the agents, following up on what we have right now, and working on my database, going back to fundamentals. Letting go agents, I didn't answer that. I think in the end of the day, I'm not a person that let go people or fire people. It's not in my DNA. It's not something that I do. But I think that people right now that will not rise to the occasion and their accountability level will not be in the same pace, they will find themselves falling behind and they will find themselves out. So there's no action to be made from my point of view. Just they have to raise to the occasion. And if not, they will feel the pressure on themselves.
Self-select themselves out.
Exactly.
Definitely. All right. And then we just
So
had a
where do they get to go to see you? Is it Zamir? What's your website? What's your Facebook?
It's first of all, my personal Facebook is Zohar Zamir. You can find me, and the Zamir group is the Facebook, and my email. Google my name, you'll find me.
There's only one. There's only one
Zohar Zamir. Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to thank you. And guys, if you need anything, please reach out to any of us. We're happy to help you during this time. Thank you, Julie, for co-hosting this. Thank you, Zohar, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys. See you Tuesday.